Andrews has now gone public with her fight against cervical cancer. Fortunately, in her case, it was caught early, and after 2 surgeries, she is now cancer-free. But for some who skip recommended screenings, the disease can be deadly. And here with 3 things that every woman should know is Dr. Evelyn Minaya. And we should note January is Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. Dr. Minaya, good morning.
Good morning.
We don't know the specifics of Erin Andrews' case. We know that it is highly treatable, though, and she seems to be doing okay. But routine screening seems to be the key here. What are we talking about for women? How often should you be going for the screening?
That's a very good question. And you know, the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology has recently changed the protocol. So is it 3? Is it 5 years? Basically, just ask your physician what's going on. But our best screening is our pap smear. Women over the age of 30 need an HPV attached to that.
Okay, so getting down to the HPV, there is a connection then between the human papilloma virus and cervical cancer.
All precancer cells are caused by the human papilloma virus. However, the majority, but not all, of cervical cancer is caused by the human papilloma virus.
Well, now, of course, there is that Gardasil, the vaccine that boys and girls, when they're teenagers, it's recommended that they get the vaccine. Is that always the best protection?
Well, for the time being, yes, and of course screening, but the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, as well as the American Academy of Pediatrics, does recommend for boys and girls to get it starting at the age of 11. And by the way, you have until the age of 26 to get vaccinated.
And highly effective? Do we know that already?
The earlier that you do it and non-exposure to HPV, the better it works.
Now, aside from the vaccine, what are some of the other ways that people can protect against cervical cancer?
Like I always say, no glove, no love. So condoms and yes, decreasing the amount of cervical exposure that you have. So that means decreasing the amount of partners that you might have. But protection condoms is really the best way.
What are the symptoms of cervical cancer?
Cervical cancer has many, many symptoms, believe it or not. Not the precancerous lesions, believe it or not. So you can get postcoital bleeding, meaning that bleeding after sex, irregular menstruation, even sometimes a foul odor from the vagina can give you a clue as to whether you have cervical cancer or not.
Now, another important point is age. A lot of people think this is an illness or disease that usually comes earlier than their 50s, but it actually is not necessarily the case, right?
Yes, and especially in a recent study. After the age of 65, you know the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology does not recommend pap smears. Shameful. But we see that these women are the ones that are not only getting cervical cancer, but they're also dying from the disease. So I say, even after the age of 65, especially if you've never been exposed to it and you have a change in your partner, I think you should be screened nevertheless.
Dr. Evelyn Minaya, good information. Thank you as always.
Hello Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives.